Hello and welcome to today's walking tour of the University of Saskatchewan right here in Saskatoon on the east side of the city. Hope you are doing well today. We are going to journey through what has been voted the most beautiful university campus in all of Canada. We're going to start here by the Rugby Chapel, just zip across by St. Thomas More's College into the bowl past the Student Center and Place Royale, check out some of the original buildings and the beautiful architecture that goes into them, and then carry on through around the bowl, seeing some of the historic buildings here and talking a little bit about the history and a little bit about the stories of this place. So if you're here for a walking tour of the University of Saskatchewan right here in Saskatoon, you've come to the right place. For those of you watching on this live stream, welcome, glad you're here. It's good to see your faces again. If we haven't met before, my name is Dan King. I actually live on Vancouver Island off the west coast of Canada, but right here in Saskatoon is where I went to high school and attended University of Saskatchewan just for 1 year before I switched universities and colleges. But it is a beautiful campus, a beautiful place, and I could not have this visit to Saskatoon without bringing you here. So I'm really happy you guys are all here. For those who are regulars, and those who are new and maybe have stumbled upon this walking tour of the University of Saskatchewan. So let's just jump into it. We're at one of the entries to the university campus, and it is a large campus. There's a map right behind me you were looking at while I was doing the introduction, and so I hope you took a little peek at it. If not, you can rewind later on the rewatch and check that out. But it gives you a really good overview of how large this campus really is. It's a beautiful day here in Saskatoon. We are bringing this to you in the early part of June, and so the winter snow has melted, the roads are clean, the grass is green, but the mosquitoes, they aren't out yet, which is always kind of a plus here because they come out in the summer and they're as big as airplanes. I want to show you the first building we're going to look at today. It's one of the earliest buildings here, not the earliest, but one of the earliest ones, and this is the original Rugby Chapel. 1912 is when it was placed here, and the Rugby Chapel here in 1912 was donated by a rugby school in England. There was an original chapel on campus, and that was founded in 1909, but this replaced it in 1912. Now you can obviously see, as we back up and you see the pillar on it, that this has been renovated. It actually has new siding on it since I was here last and did a tour of this probably a couple of years ago, for those of you who might have seen it. But the Rugby Chapel, and I'll just go up and down, it's just a beautiful little spot right beside 25th Street, University Drive here. And it's a great place to just begin our tour. Behind me and to my left is another one of the original buildings. Now, right now it's hidden behind all these beautiful trees that have just come out here on the university campus. But it's St. Thomas More's College, and this was one of the original colleges here on the grounds here of the University of Saskatchewan. And you'll get a little tease as we get closer to it of some of the stonework that is the limestone work that is behind the trees and a part of this building. That's just a little tease for what has been really iconic now for the University of Saskatchewan. It's what it's known for, and some of why it has been voted for as the most beautiful campus in the country of Canada. Absolutely beautiful. Just a little tease through the trees there for you as we go on. We're going to walk actually across one of the parking lots for students right now. And as we do that, we're walking towards the Place Royale Student Center. A couple of interesting stories I can tell you about that in a moment. But first, I just want to give you a little bit of historic background for the university campus. The beautiful blue sky out. It's about 12 degrees Celsius here, about 55 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you joining us in the United States. Beautiful buildings ahead. University campus here at the University of Saskatchewan is one of the oldest and most distinguished universities in Canada, known for 2 Nobel Prize winners, 1 Prime Minister of Canada, 9 provincial premiers, and 3 Supreme Court justices for Canada, and 5 Olympic gold medalists. And I'm sure that number will continue to grow. Saskatoon is a very commercial and educational center in the prairies here of Canada, located on Treaty 6 territory. It's the homeland of the Métis people, And although European settlement of Saskatoon didn't begin until the 1880s, this campus property and the land it's on and the surrounding area has been home to those traveling through and Indigenous people for literally thousands of years. See some of the city buses that attend here. So city buses come to this hub at the student center. The student center, the Place Réal Student Center, is kind of the epicenter of this. Now, one of the things you have to understand here in Saskatoon is that this is a city that has, for about 6 months of the year, if not longer, snow and bitter cold temperatures. And so Place Réal Student Center isn't only the student center, but it's also the hub of a fairly elaborate underground tunnel system that runs between all the main campuses here on the University of Saskatchewan. And you can end up taking those tunnels during the winter months to navigate behind the buildings and stay inside, which I always thought, as a student here, was a fantastic feature. Some of these buildings behind the bus and a little bit ahead of us as we begin to walk are student housing. Now, with last year 26,000 students on the university campus, most of that student housing is going to be out in the center of the city, off center here and in the city. Saskatoon is a city of just around 300,000 people, and as I said, 26,000 students. So very much a university school city, and the students make up a large portion of it. So all these buildings are student housing. The University of Saskatchewan was created back in 1907, and Saskatoon was selected as the site for the University of Saskatchewan, the province that we're in 1909. And that's when courses were first offered. The Emmanuel School, which that Rugby Chapel we saw initially was the original chapel for, was relocated from Prince Albert to Saskatchewan, here to Saskatoon, an affiliate to the school. And then that rugby school in England donated the chapel for their new chapel and theological school at that time. Today, the university campus is actually regarded as one, as I said, of the most beautiful campuses in Canada. This is the VLØGS, the kind of pub, student pub center, place for food, for relaxing and enjoying life after hard classes in a given week. I was actually at a concert one time downstairs in it, and it was packed with about 250 people. It was absolutely phenomenal. It's the old Student Union, Memorial Student Union building. And again, as all these buildings here, you can see the stonework, the iconic stonework of the University of Saskatchewan. Originally, it was made up, this university grounds, of Arts College, Commerce College, Architectural, Forestry, Domestic Science, Education College, Engineering College, Law College, a Medicine College with pharmacy was added in the 1920s, Dentistry, Veterinary Science, and as we saw earlier, St. Thomas More College, which was 1936, it was added. It's coming into one of the, between the student buildings, one of the courtyards here to relax, enjoy the sun. And of course, the campus is very quiet right now because it is the summer. So we're in summer school. Not a lot of people around, but that's perfect for us to wander and chit chat and see the campus for all the beauty that it has. Now on our left is the Quabell Hall, and to our right, if I just turn around with all the greenery, yes, beautiful greenery, that is Saskatchewan Hall. And again, two of the several student housing buildings here on campus. Imagine living in that. Take a picture and send it home to your friends. Here's where I'm living. Basically, you're living in a castle. So beautiful. I was here wandering around about 20 minutes ago, just before our tour, and there was a number of people doing a photo shoot here in the area. And why not? Some of the gorgeous architecture as we just cut across the grass here. see some of these doors arching. Absolutely beautiful, just from top to bottom. One of the things I've always been impressed with here is they don't have ivy on these buildings. It's just the original greenery of trees. No ivy needed. And really, ivy would, I think, take away from all this beautiful stonework of these buildings. So this university is made up, as I mentioned, of a number of colleges. And each of those colleges had its own building, and those buildings all came together to make up the university campus. And so as a student here, you would be a member of one of the colleges once your major was declared. And away you would go for attending them. Now, keep your eyes open as we move into the central part. I'll tell you a little bit about it in a moment. But as we move into the central part, there are little gophers everywhere. They're not groundhogs. They're going to be gophers, and they're going to be scurrying around. And so you can see if you can spot some as we go. We'll play a little bit of a game with that. I can see some here to my right on the grass. We'll see if we can get close enough. I'll give you a little teaser of those. But keep your eyes peeled. Any movement you see are going to be these little gophers. Can you see them there? Just in front of me at the little yellow spot between myself and the flower bed. Oh, there they go running. You see them? These little guys are everywhere. You imagine being here in the bowl playing frisbee or something. You trip on a little gopher hole. There they are. You can see them there. And in the background, we see the original college building. College building was built between 1910 and 1912. It's now called the Peter McKinnon Building. It was declared a National Historic Site of Canada back in 2001 by the federal government. I found it interesting actually to note that this building, the college building, now the Peter McKinnon Building, this is where they had all the originally administration and a number of the classes that were offered here. This was the first college building that was built here on campus. As we moved to get kind of a front view of it, I found it interesting to note that the cornerstone of this building was actually laid by Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier in July of 1910. And if you're a Canadian and you know our money, the $5 bill, the blue one, for those of you not from Canada, if you are looking, the blue $5 bill has his face on it. This plaza in front of us, in front of the college building, is called the Noble Plaza. Beautiful building. It's got that very clear Gothic style in its architecture, as do all the original buildings. I love the dome doorways and the entry for these buildings. It was closed in 1997 due to some structural problems. It was reopened in 2005 after some major rehabilitation on the structure of the building. It was reported to be one of the largest heritage conservation projects in Canada, second only to the work being done on Parliament Hill, the capital of Canada, Ottawa. And I said now it's mainly an administrative building. Now I'm going to turn around and look back at the bowl, as they call it. The original architectural plans for this university called for a large bowl, which is this grass area in the middle here, to be constructed around, to have all the buildings constructed around it. They're all now, underneath this is where all those tunnels that I mentioned run for use in the winter months. Now we'll take a little walk around here, and starting on our right is the physics building. Now there are other, if you're watching this for a little bit of a walk tour of the university because perhaps you're coming here in the future or something like that, there are other college buildings, of course, behind these ones in the bowl, but these ones represent the original ones. We won't walk and see all the college buildings on campus. This is just kind of the heart, today's tour, the heart of the college campus and the physics building here. So this is all what they call gray stone or limestone, which was mined just actually north here of the college campus. Absolutely beautiful. Those domed windows up top. So peaceful. You know, there's that balance between the peace of a campus like this in the summertime on a Sunday morning where there's nobody really around. Just to walk, it's quiet. You can hear the chirping of the gophers. But there's also, on the flip side, there's that energy of 26,000 students wandering around this campus during the school year. And it's the energy that that brings to a place. And of course, we've just been passed by a bike, and in the distance there's other people biking. A lot of biking happens in this place during the school year when there's no snow on the ground. It's a major means of transportation here. The school, somebody asked in the comments here in our live stream if the school is in session right now. Yes and no. So it's obviously not the regular school year right now, but there are classes that run in summer session, as they would in any university. And so those 26,000 students are spread out through courses and classes in different semesters and throughout the year. So this is the geology and biology, the science buildings here on the campus. And you can see a little bit of difference. You see that center section looks a little bit different, not only in the materials it's made with, but also in the style and the design. You've moved from more of a Gothic to more of a modern look. And that's because just over 50 years ago, the geology and the biology buildings were joined together. Originally, they were separate, and they were joined together. And that's what that construction is. And you can see the difference. I mean, we had wooden doors on a lot of the original buildings that we saw, and these ones have more of a 60s metal, 60s, 70s metal, stainless steel style of doors in the front there. So that architectural does go together, but is very different. Somebody asked in our live chat today during the original showing of this, does the, let me just read that question there. Does the university have any specialize in any particular subjects? So because the university is actually made up of several different colleges, it specializes in a number of different areas. I mentioned this earlier in the tour, but it stands to mention it again, that, I mean, it's got everything from arts and sciences to agriculture and forestry development, education, engineering, law, medicine, pharmacy, dentistry. It's quite well known, this university, for its veterinary medicine program. And there's the St. Thomas More Theology as well. So you've got a number of different focuses for the university, which is made up of all the colleges. And that's one of the brilliant things about this. It's kind of the one-stop shop to come. And you know, if you're looking for something for your post-secondary education, as well, being in the prairies, the price here is a lot less. Now, I'm not able to state exactly what prices are for all the colleges, because obviously it varies between them. Beautiful trees here that we're walking through. I almost said maple trees, but they're not maples. I'm guessing oaks, but just a beautiful, beautiful. And you get gophers, somebody mentioned in the live chat. Yes, that's right. All right, so finishing up here. One of the other things that University of Saskatchewan, actually, if we're talking about things it's known for, is in 1999, she mentioned the university learned it would be the home to the largest scientific project ever undertaken in Canada. And that was the building of, through Canadian light source, the synchrotron, which is a third generation synchrotron, which uses electron streams to produce light. And that project was finished and completed several years later, and now is, from a scientific perspective, brings many people to the campus. You can see between the next buildings here, the geology building and the physics building, or the geology building and biology building on the right, and the Thorvaldson building, which we'll talk about in a moment, to the left, you can see a walkway. Again, not all the tunnels are underground here at the campus for the winter months, but most of them are. But you can see one of the skywalks. And there's, I believe, 3, I stand to be corrected, I believe there are 3 or 4 skywalks here on campus. And again, just another way to get around during the winter months quickly between the buildings without having to go outside. Gallery to our left is part of the Faculty of Arts and Science and History. Art and Art History. That's what you're studying. You're going to be at that particular building. And you can again see that this was a building that was built a little bit later on. And you can see between the floors that flat granite type rock, but they've still pulled from the limestone, original limestone architecture, to blend it in with the rest of the campus. They've done a great job doing that. I'll just walk through here. To our left is going to be the library. Now, my understanding, and I stand to be corrected on this, but my understanding is they've just finished building a new library, 7 stories high, but there was a bit of an oops moment in the new library. And the oops moment was that when the architects and the engineers planned out the library, and it's 7 stories, that they forgot to include, when they were calculating the needs of the foundation of the building, that there would be books in the library. And so apparently the 7th story, the 7th level floor of the library, is not able to have any books in the library because that would put it overweight for the foundation of the building. And as a result, our library is now 6 stories and not 7. Somebody might have lost a job on that one. Fun fact, I haven't actually searched it up to find out yet if that's truth, but I was told by some friends who live here the other night, and I think that that is absolutely hilarious if that's what happened. Like, how do you make that happen? Does anybody know who we're looking at right now? If you're watching in the after show, maybe you can just kind of guess out loud, or if you're in the live stream, original live stream right now, you can mention something in the chat. Any idea who this individual might be? With some connection here, although was born in Ontario, has some connection here to the university. This is Farley Mowat. Spent his formative years in Saskatoon, although, as I said, born in Ontario. Sailor, soldier, patriot, naturalist, of course a writer. He's very proud to be Canadian. Farley Mowat. We're going to move on now to Thorvaldson building, which is originally just called the Science Building. So we've had the physics building, geology and biology buildings, and now this is what was originally the Science Building. It's now called the Thorvaldson building. It was built between 1913 and 1924. 11 years to build this one. Now, why, you might ask, did it take so long when the other buildings were built in 2 or 3 years? Well, this one was over the war, and as a result, it was put on hold. Now, it's said that there were Canadian fighter pilots, who were actually trained here in this building. And legend has it that in one of the rooms with the domed ceiling, that they would throw paper airplanes and try to lodge them in the dome ceiling. And in fact, in 1995, when there was some renovations done on this building, they took all the paper airplanes down, and they found about 350 or 60 of them, many of them dating back into the 60s and the 50s. Now, they didn't find any from the 20s or the 30s, and they reckon that that is because there was some renovations done in the 1950s to that dome, and at that point, in order to limit the sound in the room, there was asbestos blown into the ceiling and over the original dome. And as a result, that's what people would throw the airplanes in to get stuck. Prior to that, it was just the original dome, and so there's no evidence that it was the 1920s that and in the 40s the Army or the air pilots actually did that. But it's an interesting story that I found was fun when I did my research for this building. Someone's asked, what are all the red flags and the orange flags that are around? Twofold. One, there are a lot of little orange flags down here just showing where there are electrical lines, so they must be doing some engineering work here. And so they're just marked out where the underground infrastructure is, so there's no issues. But there's also some orange signs. I don't see any around me right now, but commemorating the missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada. Those were the big orange and purple banners that you've seen around as we've been walking. Of course, as I mentioned, the university is on traditional Métis land, and with a very strong and vibrant Indigenous culture here in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon. Missing and murdered Indigenous women is something that should be highlighted and given attention to, and the university does a great job of doing that. So again, this is the Thorvaldson building. Probably one of the most, I think, one of the most grand buildings on the property. Now, as we continue on our way, we're going to see another one of our skywalks. This one between the main arts center, which is to our left, and the Thorvaldson building. As we would continue our walk along, we would come to the Edwards School of Business and the Law College underneath here. I'm going to actually, though, take a little bit of a turn around. We'll walk down a little bit and check this out. Why not? I hope you're enjoying this walkabout. Unfortunately, we can't go into any of the buildings today. Having said that, I hope you've gotten a really great idea of this campus's layout and the beauty of the place. Now, behind the Thorvaldson building, you're going to find the architectural and the engineering colleges and their buildings. You can see them a little bit off there in the distance across this parking lot. Somebody in the chat's just mentioned the beauty of the campus and the rock work on the buildings. Yes, absolutely. So we're down here to the business and the law colleges now that we're looking at. You can see they were built a little bit later, and again, that rock work is just a little bit different. The stonework is just a little bit different on this. And even the entryway now, you can see, has more of a 60s, 70s aesthetic to it, especially on the roof of this building. If you're somebody who was around in the 80s, you might recognize these kind of tops of buildings as something that was popular at Pizza Hut restaurants back in the day, with a little square shape on the top of the building. Anybody remember those? I'm dating myself now. All right, we're gonna walk back. As we walk back, we're gonna take a right and wander along by the library and the Arts and Science building. I should mention now, while I've got just the chance, that it would be great if you're interested in, or if you've enjoyed this. Hi everybody. If you've enjoyed this video so far and you want to support the channel, just make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I do have another tour that's going to be coming up on Tuesday, and it's of the Broadway historic area, the Broadway Avenue area district here in Saskatoon. And just a couple of days ago, I was down by the river landing. So if you haven't watched those yet, plan to, or go back and watch them. It'd be great to share that with you as well. as well. Just a real practical way. If you can subscribe or like this or leave a comment, that's great. But there's also a Buy Me a Coffee site that is linked down in the description of this video, and you can leave a little tip donation there. The nice thing about it, really, and I think the big bonus of doing that, maybe one-time supporting tip, is that you get to be on my email list. And so you'll get an email with new series of tours that are coming out, new videos that I drop and such. So it's worth doing that if you have the chance. Let me flip it around again and we'll finish up our tour here of the university campus. It's getting warmer this afternoon now. There's this Thorvaldson building again on our left. Beautiful day. Which, if you're in the chat, you can leave a message on this or a note on this. And if you're somebody who is watching this in the replay, you can leave it in the comments. What was your favorite building that you saw today? We saw a number of them. This is in front of us here is the Arts and Science building. Which was your favorite building that you saw today? Perhaps the original college building, maybe the Thorvaldson building, the science building. Perhaps it was one of the student housing buildings, or maybe just the little chapel that was donated by that rugby school in England to the Emmanuel Theology School way back in 1912 that we started at. Maybe that was your favorite one. As we come around here, we've got the original library in front of us. Got one more statue that I want to show you over here. These are beautiful walkways. Somebody said they enjoy the original college building the best. And when we're done looking at this, we'll finish up with a little walk around back to Place Riel, the original student center entrance we saw, and we'll conclude our time together. So this is a statue that is dedicated to the people of Ukraine. It was commissioned by the Association of Cultural Relations with Ukrainians Abroad. A little bit of information. It's designed to rehabilitate the tarnished reputation of Ukrainians at the time. Originally, it was declined as a gift by the city of Saskatoon, but it was accepted by the university and installed on campus back in 1976. She does look very tall. I would say that it stands about 9 to 10 feet high. There's only a few statues here on campus, bronze statues. This is the Gordon Oaks Red Bear Student Center. It's a more recent addition to the campus, historically. Circular building. Different type. Again, you've got now a third type of rock. We saw the original limestone, we've seen the more granite, and this is a departure from both of those. It is a limestone, but it's finished differently, and then it's got the granite inlays in it. So it's been a play on the two other types of stones that we've seen. And then of course, beautiful glass front to the building. I don't think I've shown this building on any of the tours that I did. I think I was here 2 years ago and did some live streams. Didn't show this building at that time, but beautiful building. Very much a flow and a wave to it. We'll just slowly here turn to our left. This is the Health Sciences building across the way, and the University of Saskatchewan Hospital is behind us, behind this building. Other site. And again, there's that mix of the original limestone, but as you go up to top, you can see there's a more modern look to it. That consistency across the university grounds. To our left is Place Riel. And we'll just head quickly down this way and show you. Spoke about the dome that was in the Thorvaldson building, and there's another dome of sorts here that we want to see. This is the observatory, part of the science wing of the Science College here. Astronomy, and so there's a grand telescope that lies there. You can. It is open to the public on certain days. And I like that. I like the look of that building. It's so, it just, I mean, it's got the original limestone historic look to it. But then popped on top, you've got that dome. So this observatory is almost of a two worlds meeting. The old world of the 1900s and the observatory that would have been put in late 50s, 60s. Well, guys, thanks so much for wandering the pathways and the roads of the University of Saskatchewan. Such a lovely university campus, and you can see, I think, why it was voted the most beautiful campus in all of Canada for universities. Thank you so much for being with me. It's been a joy to be touring with you again here in my hometown of Saskatoon, where I was born, where I went to high school. I can't wait to get back to Vancouver Island and take you on more adventures there. But for now, it's Saskatoon, the university, and then we'll be going, as I said, to Broadway here on Tuesday. And so if you haven't done so yet, make sure you hit subscribe and give a thumbs up and leave a comment if you like this in the comments of the actual video as opposed to the chat. And if you want to jump over to the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description, please do so. It's been great to journey with you today. If you took some screenshots of this and you want to share them online, linking back to my channel, that would be fantastic. We'll see you all later from the University of Saskatchewan in the beautiful Saskatoon on the prairies of Canada. Thank you so much for being here, and we hope you have a great and grand day. Thanks so much. Bye now.